Jets. And there is Molly Karam, the smooth signal caller who will ask questions and demand answers. And here is Max Kellerman. His fire and desire will be the key to victory. And Stephen A. Smith, the veteran of spectacular vernacular, will crank up the volume today. The First Take team is ready to fly high at Jets camp, and it starts now.
We are not in Bristol. Day one of our training camp tour kicks off today from Florham Park, New Jersey. We are so excited to be here at Jets camp. What's up, everybody?
What's going on? What's going on?
Welcome into First Take. Stephen A., Max Kellerman, Molly Karam. How are we doing?
Yes,
we do this.
We got to come up with something.
We got it. We got to get it together.
Y'all are really slipping when I got to remind y'all supposed to do the fist bump.
Please.
I mean, damn, it's supposed to come natural.
Round one, Stephen A. Smith.
Right? Round one of training camp tour. You guys ready?
Of course we ready.
All right, huge show today. Head coach Todd Bowles will be with us. Wide receiver Brandon Marshall, you know, he's always fun. And Revis Island, Darrell Revis also will be here. Ryan Clark will join us in a little bit too. So since we're here, Jets camp, right? Yep. Do a little AFC East preview to start off the show, shall we? All right, let's get into it. So we all know the Patriots have dominated this division in recent history, winning it 12 out of the last 13 seasons, including a streak of 7 straight. Despite Tom Brady being suspended for the first 4 games, the Pats are still significant favorites, as always, gentlemen, to win the division. But Stephen A., the question to you is, which team has the best chance to challenge the Pats in the AFC East?
Max Kellerman, I'm going to roll with the New York Jets. And I'm not saying it just because I'm here. I'm not saying it just because I love this team. I'm not saying it just because I'm fond of Coach Todd Bowles and McCagnon, the GM. And the fact that they went 10-6 last year, obviously, has me. It's given me reason to be optimistic. Now, they've lost 2 games to the Buffalo Bills. So I do understand there are some people that might think it's Buffalo. I do understand that there are some people, obviously, that think that because Tom Brady is going to be gone for the first 4 games of the season, and some dude named Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G.
Not Jimmy G.
Jimmy
Garoppolo. He has not earned a nickname yet. He's thrown as many passes in the NFL during the regular season as I have, okay? No Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, until further notice. But I'm going to tell you why I'm going to roll with the Jets. I'm going to tell you why I've got this attitude, this positive attitude about the New York Jets. I think signing Ryan Fitzpatrick was pivotal. He is 33. He had an exceptional season last year, even though he wet the bed in the last game of the regular season. They lost to Buffalo twice by the same score, 22-17 each time. The last game of the year, he wet the bed with 3 interceptions, only 187 yards passing. We get all of that. But when I think about the fact that you kept Ryan Fitzpatrick in play, that you have a year of continuity under the belt with his system, with Todd Bowles, Chan Gilly, and those boys, I think along the lines of Brandon Marshall being here and Eric Decker being here. I like the fact that Matt Forte is here now, along with Bilal Powell. Their ability to catch passes out of the backfield. Because if you remember, Bilal Powell was used a lot during screens and what have you later in the season. He was really utilized in that regard. You take that into account, and then you look at defensively. You kept your defensive line intact. You still got Leonard Williams. You kept Muhammad Wilkinson. Sheldon Richardson is going to be around, okay? We hope and pray that it remains that way. I do have concerns in the secondary in terms of Antonio Cromartie being gone and moving Buster Screen from the slot to the outside. I get all of that. But in the end, I just think that Todd Bowles is a damn good defensive mind. I think that Rex Ryan usually bloviates more than he produces. And as a result, I just feel inclined to give the New York Jets the edge over the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, I'm not assuming that they're going to win the AFC East because even with Tom Brady gone, I still believe that the Patriots are going to win the AFC East because I think Jimmy Garoppolo will find a way to win at least 2 games with Bill Belichick by his side. They'll probably go 2-2. Then Tom Brady will come back. They'll go 10-2. They'll finish the season 12-4. They'll win the AFC East, but the Jets will have another 10-6 season, and it will be enough to usurp Buffalo and threaten the New England Patriots. I think that's what's going to happen.
First of all, I know why people would, we're asking the question, who would have the best chance if not the Patriots? But the Patriots aren't going to have Tom Brady for the first 4 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Matt Castle went 11-5. However, they didn't make the playoffs that year. That's the one year they didn't make the playoffs.
And it was 8 years ago.
It was a long time ago, but that's the last time Tom Brady wasn't the quarterback.
Right.
Garoppolo, I'm going to assume, is not on the roster because Bill Belichick says, we just need a backup quarterback. He is on the roster because Bill Belichick thinks he can get the job done if necessary, and now it's necessary. I could see them going 3-1 in the first 4 games. That said, there is a chance here. There's a little chance. And the AFC East, the 3 other teams, there are reasons to recommend them all. By the way, McClendon in the middle now at nose tackle for the Jets, Stephen A., could make a difference. I mean, like, there are various reasons. That's a top 10 kind of defense. Brandon Marshall is an elite wide receiver, not just a really good wide receiver because the bloom is off the rose. He tends not to get put in the group of elite wide receivers. At least he's not the first name that comes to mind. But he is absolutely an elite wide receiver. Here's the thing about Fitzpatrick, and this is what held me back from picking the Jets until this thought occurred to me. Fitzpatrick's only had 2 decent seasons in his career, 2 good seasons, one in Buffalo and last year with the Jets. And what did those seasons have in common? Contract years. That was his walk year in both instances. And when you think about it that way, the Jets' negotiation with him starts to make a lot more sense. Because what is he entering right now on a 1-year, $12 million deal? A walk year. So we should have a totally motivated quarterback playing under center who's coming off maybe his best season, certainly one of his 2 best seasons. All that said, Stephen A., when they needed him to do it the most, when it was win and you're in against Buffalo, he choked, which leads me to look at the Dolphins. Once they got
interesting.
Once they got Ndamukong Suh in the middle, now they were coming off an 8-8 year where their point differential was about even, meaning they legitimately were fundamentally an 8-8 type team. They got a little unlucky last year. Tannehill didn't take a step forward, all those kind of things. Assuming he takes a step forward now, sometimes it takes that little couple years to adjust. Based on health, with Ndamukong Suh in the middle, Cameron Wake could legitimately challenge 20 sacks this season. They could have a vicious situation going on up front. So if push comes to shove, I have to pick someone, I'll go with Miami.
You're going to go with the Miami Dolphins?
Sure.
You're going to go with Ryan Tannehill?
Yep.
Am I correct? I just want to make sure I'm correct here.
We'll say the name of the other quarterbacks.
Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for over 4,000 yards last year, completed about 61% of his passes, still hasn't made the playoffs. These same Miami Dolphins that have a new coach, even though Gates did the strongest argument in favor of the Miami Dolphins, as far as I'm concerned, is that Case actually made Jay Cutler look like a quarterback again. I'll give him credit for that, okay? So maybe, just maybe, a miracle could happen.
All right.
Cutler had a lot more baggage than Tannehill, too.
Yeah, that's true. I actually like Tannehill. I think Tannehill is composed. I think he's a far better person than Cutler in terms of a football player. I don't mean that I'm not talking about Jay Cutler the person because I don't know him at all. But I've said it before and I'll say it religiously. The only time I've ever seen Jay Cutler smile is when he was signing his contract, stealing money from the Chicago Bears organization and hoodwinking the city of Chicago. That's the only time I've ever seen him smile. Outside of that, he looks like a depressed puppy that just disintegrates and depresses everybody around him. And as far as I'm concerned, Gates deserves all the credit in the world for what he did with Cutler. But last time I checked, Chicago didn't go anywhere last year either, even though they improved. So I'm going to assume that Ryan Tannehill can improve in Miami. I think losing Lamar Miller is going to hurt. I think their wideout situation is questionable. Even though their defense could potentially be very, very good, you got a bunch of temperamental dudes on there, and that's a problem. And then we're talking about the AFC East. I'm thinking about Buffalo and some of the personnel that they have. I'm thinking about the fact that Rex Ryan, even when the Jets stunk, yes, they stunk. They were right here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to tell you right now, they stunk for 4 years. Thank God Todd Bowles arrived here. But Rex Ryan did take them to 2 consecutive AFC championship games the first 2 years. From there, sort of nosedived. What happened? The defense was stout, but he had no offense. What makes it interesting in Buffalo,
you got a kid who can play quarterback.
He's on a clock.
Yep.
Rex Ryan's on a clock now because Tyrod Taylor can flat out ball.
He can play quarterback.
And because he can ball, and because you got LaShawn McCoy and Carlos Williams as your running back, because you got Sammy Watkins as your wideout, you've got pieces in place that he never had with the New York Jets. But that still ain't better than the New York Jets and what they have here this year.
The sexier picks are Buffalo, who at the beginning of last season looked like they could be a real threat, and certainly the Jets. It's interesting about reputations because you bring up Jay Cutler, the only time he smiles is with the contract. I'll go back to Fitzpatrick again, who is a good quarterback. I mean, he was a good quarterback last year. And here we are at Jets camp, like, you know, you wish him the best. But the fact is, in his career, as I mentioned before, the 2 times he really showed up and played, his 2 best seasons, clearly, were both contract years. And it's interesting that when a guy goes to Harvard, right, like, you know, the branding of him as a quarterback is he must be, and he aces the Wonderlic, of course, as you would assume. His brand becomes he's a cerebral, smart quarterback. And also, I think there's a tendency to think he must be a gamer. After all, how many Harvard quarterbacks are playing in the NFL? When the fact is, he's been mistake-prone and a contract-year player. So his brand isn't that, boy, he only shows up when there's the money on the line. But that's, in fact, what happens. Now, that's actually good news for Jets fans because, once again, the money's on the line for him. He should be totally motivated to play. You know, but in terms of comparing quarterbacks and talking about which guys are motivated by the money, I think that's Fitzpatrick, at least on the record, as much as anyone.
Well, yeah, but my point to you is this. You're making my argument for me because you said that entering a contract year is when he's had his best seasons. He's got a 1-year, $12 million deal here with the New York Jets. He's 33 years of age. If he wants to extend his future, particularly in a place where he's home playing Rubik's Cubes while he's getting text messages from his teammates telling them to get this deal done, et cetera, et cetera. This is not just about a contract. This is where Ryan Fitzpatrick wants to be. This is not just about dollars and cents. This is also about happiness in his respect. Because what he's saying to you is that if he shows up, and what the Jets are saying is if he shows up and produces, this is a guy that we don't mind keeping around for the foreseeable future. And when has Ryan Fitzpatrick had that luxury anywhere?
With the pressure on.
All right.
And I know Rex Ryan wanted to play spoiler, obviously, which he did. But with the pressure on, this guy threw 12 interceptions all season. And when it was win and you're in, he threw 3.
Well, one of them don't really count. I mean, it was a last desperation. It was a last desperation situation. He really threw a legitimate 2 interceptions.
Which is still more than generally he was throwing. I mean, but when you needed him to be his best, he was at his, maybe not his worst, but certainly not at his best.
But Max Kellerman, if you're going to make an argument against Ryan Fitzpatrick, could you give me somebody better than Ryan Tannehill? Pretty pleased with sugar on top?
I don't know. When you talk about their potential going into this season, if you just isolate quarterback value, you sure you like Fitzpatrick over Tannehill?
I'm sure I like Fitzpatrick over Tannehill because I like the personnel that Ryan Fitzpatrick is throwing to better than I like the personnel that Ryan Tannehill is throwing to.
I do too, and I also like the additions the Jets have made, and I don't think there's actually much to choose from between Miami, who was 6-10 last year. I think most NFL teams in this AFC East level, other than the Patriots, are fundamentally 8-8 teams. The lucky ones go 10-6, unlucky go 6-10. I think Miami was a little unlucky last year in terms of injuries to key players, etc. In terms of Tannehill not taking the step forward people thought. I think Buffalo, New York, and Miami are all very evenly matched. Miami captures my imagination based on potential a little bit more than New York or Buffalo.
Vegas sees it playing out the way Stephen A. does, with, of course, New England winning, following the Jets, then Buffalo, then Miami. But the question is, outside of New England, it usually takes about 10 wins, right, to get to the playoffs. Are any of these teams playoff teams?
I think that the Jets have the potential to be a playoff team because of the 10 wins. I don't know if they'll make it because I expect the AFC North to be a beast. Unless they're beating up on each other, I can see a scenario where potentially, you know, the Steelers, the Bengals, and possibly the Baltimore Ravens are all in or vying for a spot. Obviously, you're looking at New England. You're looking at, you know what, the AFC West is interesting because of Kansas City and Denver. I'm dismissing Oakland and San Diego for now, but it remains to be seen what Oakland will do. But I see San Diego being the last place team in that division. And, of course, I expect Indianapolis to resurrect itself. The playoff team will be the division winner. I don't see a wild card coming out of the AFC South.
No, particularly because they seem to be evenly matched. So there's going to be some attrition in terms of the record throughout the season. I don't see a wild card coming from
I think that battle, it comes down to this. I think there will be the Patriots and what are the teams in the AFC West, and I think there will be a battle for the wild card between the Jets and 2 of the teams in the AFC North.
Yeah, and the Jets are likely to lose that battle. But
probably.
Yep. All right, let's leave it there. First take just getting started here from Florham Park. Speaking of a guy who should be a lock to get back to the playoffs, of course, Cam Newton. So coming up, Michael Bennett called out Cam, then had to call him again. We'll explain and react. Ryan Clark will join us. More First Take from Jets Camp after the break. Stay here.